The Chucky franchise started all the way back in 1988, which was 34 years ago, and is played by no other than Brad Dourif, who portrays the role of Chucky throughout all the Chucky movies, apart from the newest one, in which was played by Mark Hamill because it was a remake. Child's Play is about a killer called Charles Lee Ray, who transfers himself and his soul into the body of a good guy doll, in which he finds in a toy store before he dies, and so it goes, yo, I want to become a doll. So yeah, that's how he becomes Chucky, the famous doll that we all know and love. And from there, he gets bought by Andy Barclay's mother, who soon introduces him to Andy Barclay for his birthday. And yeah, the doll kind of goes on a murderous rampage, kills Aunt Maggie and kills a load of other randomers as well. And the movie is about Chucky wanting to become a body again, a proper human again, because what he needs is, when he tells his secret of who he is to somebody, in which this case was Andy Barclay, he then needs a body to transfer into. He then needs to transfer into Andy's body, sort of thing, because he wants to become human again, because there's not much he can do as a doll. And I think there's a factor in which is, if he stays at the doll too long, his body will become the doll, if that makes sense. So if he gets cut, he starts to bleed and things like that. And that is more focused in the second movie, but it is portrayed in this movie as well. So what I liked about this movie is that it is one of the classic 80s movies of the likes of Friday the 13th, Your Nightmare on Elm Street, and plenty of other horror movies made around this decade, in which are so unique in the fact that they try to scare people with actual things that are scary, rather than using what modern day people use, in which is jump scares, cheap little thrills to make you go, oh, for a minute or so. Whereas in the early movies, what they tried to do was actually scare you by doing physical things, like Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. He was scary enough without him needing to jump out somewhere and scare the living shit out of you. In which now, it's like, for any sort of ghouly type of movies, like Conjuring, or sort of like Insidious, where it makes you jump with certain demons jumping out at you, or things like that. These movies don't. These movies are very unique, and there's not many of them around these days that do movies in this style, in which is no jump scares, the actual movie itself is scary enough. I also enjoyed in this movie how Child's Play at this point was very, very, very serious. And before it got turned into a joke, because the later Chuckies in the Chucky franchise, like Bride and Seed, take the franchise on a whole different turn, in which I didn't like, because it was more comedic. They took the tradition away of it being a horror movie. And when they brought it back to being a horror movie in like Curse and Cult, it was good, but it still had the same effect it did in Child's Play 1, 2 and 3, of him being a non-stop slasher and thrilling to watch. Yeah, he's funny at parts in 1, 2 and 3, Chucky, but he does it in a very sort of evil way, and it works with his character and him not being too serious. And if you watch the new Chucky series, you'll see what I mean by him being very evil, and the things that he say are funny, but not too jokative and not too comedic. And that's what this Child's Play movie does, as it sets the franchise off on a good stead of a horror movie franchise. I also want to mention Brad Dourif in this particular movie and all the franchises. He is the guy for me in which is Chucky now. He is iconic to that role. He's like Freddy Krueger being played by, what's his name? I can't remember his name, I'll pop it on the screen. Like It, for me, Pennywise, is played by Tim Curry, in which people associate him with. And to me, Chucky is played by Brad Dourif, nobody else. I don't care if Mark Hamill did it in the remake, that's not Chucky for me, and Chucky is Brad Dourif. He brings this sort of scariness and funny but evil way of doing things, and the laugh as well. The laugh is so iconic in the Chucky franchise, and he's awesome. He's awesome in all the Chucky movies, even in the bad ones like Seed. He's still hilariously funny, but brings the seriousness. I also liked about this movie the story. The story is quite unique, as you don't really see a doll prior to the 1980s running around and stabbing people, in which, you know, they went and did, and it was a change in direction for the horror movie franchise. Instead of this demonic figure like Freddy Krueger's or Friday the 13th, Jason with the sort of hockey mask, and then you've got Halloween guy, can't remember his name, Mike Myers, who was similar to Jason Voorhees in that way, that he wore a mask and walked around stabbing people and things. However, someone who was very, very small and, you know, was a slasher wasn't heard of, and dolls killing people wasn't really heard of before this point. And this particular movie was so unique that it helped inspire other movies like it, like Annabelle, and like some rip-off movies that I've seen pop up on Netflix. All these types of ones where there's a doll moving or there's something like that. Chucky would have inspired these types of movies to be made. And especially with Annabelle, if you look at many things in Annabelle, it's quite alike Chucky, but they take it more on a serious note, whereas Chucky was funny, he talked, and was more demonic in the way that he would laugh and things like that. However, he and this movie inspired a new generation to make movies as well, in which the story was so unique in that particular way in the 80s that nobody had seen this before, and that there's many copycats now in the thousands and in the tens and in the now 20s that have used this method as well. And I think the actual story itself was great, seeing people not believe Andy as well, when he keeps saying Chucky made me do it, or Chucky did this, or Chucky did that. And it was great to see the progression in the movie from start to finish of how Andy Barclay was trying to get people to believe that Chucky was actually killing the likes of Aunt Maggie. Great to see how the movie progresses throughout, as nobody believed him at first, Andy Barclay. He was put in a mental institute and stuff. People thinking he was mental, even his own mother, until his mother finds the batteries not in the doll, and then he's like, oh shit, we didn't even put no batteries in the doll, oh shit, and he's going around killing people, oh shit, he's telling the truth. And obviously it comes to light when she tries burning the doll, and obviously he comes alive and tries killing her, and then shoots at the detective as well, or stabs the detective. Sorry, he ain't got the right hands to shoot people, but either way. But yeah, there's plenty that goes on in this movie, and it's so unique in that way. So finally then, what I really liked about this movie was how this was before CGI. This movie was made in the 80s. This movie was prior to CGI. This was more robotic and puppet type of things, in which I liked, because I think that nowadays they overuse CGI, and I think they could take a look back at the 80s and the 90s of the likes of the Terminator movies, in which use robotics as well, and which was the 90s, and they could also look at the 80s types of movies in which use actual people. And in Child's Play that was no different, as they used probably in apparently in the remake version of Child's Play they used robots in that. However, if this movie was made in 2022 right now, and they were doing a full-on remake of this movie, pretend that movie never got made, Child's Play, at all, not even the remake, this new movie comes out called Child's Play, they would make that a CGI version of the doll moving around, and I think it wouldn't have looked half as good as the original with robotics and things like that, because their robotics weren't brilliant back then. But if you watch this movie, it don't look that bad. And it's not one of those movies where you look back now from 34 years ago and go, no, well, that movie looks shit. The effects look crap and everything like that. No, I think they made it look good because I read in the trivia article part in IMDb, which you can go and check out, it says that they got in certain scenes to kids to play Chucky who was around that size. I think one of the people that they used was the real life actor of Andy Barclay's sister, I think, played the Chucky doll running across the thing and pushing out Maggie out the window. However, I didn't like everything about this movie, as I think sometimes in this movie it felt that the doll was too invincible. And what I'm trying to get at this, it's not as many times as Chucky 2, by the way, in which I can't wait to do a review on that. An absolute rip to shreds how many times Chucky dies and not dies, know what I mean? But either way, in this particular movie, it seems that there's several times where you go, oh, Chucky's dead. End of movie. No, he's rolling around again. Okay. Then he'll be doing it again. It's like, what the fuck are you trying to do? It's like, because I'll use some examples here. The first time they chuck him into some fire. I think it's Andy Barclay's mother, which we've already previously mentioned, chucks the Chucky doll into the fire, in which is actually a human being in that doll. It's not like a demonic presence. It's not a ghost. It's a human being inside a doll, burning alive. They would die. I don't care how good you are, because this guy in the doll is just a serial killer. He would die in that doll, in which I don't get why he can just walk around and start stabbing someone. Okay, let's say he survived the burn in the fire. He survives that. However, then he gets shot, I think, and his head gets decapitated in this movie, but he's still walking around. It's like, I get it, you want to try to make this Chucky doll as like an unkillable sort of monster, like your Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees and like your Nightmare on Elm Street's Freddy Krueger's, but they're different. They've come back alive from either being from being dead, basically. Whereas obviously Chucky is, Charles Lee Ray isn't technically dead. He's just transferred his soul into a new body. His old body is dead, yes, but his actual soul and his thing isn't actually dead. So I don't get why you can just walk around and start getting back up after he's nearly been killed about 3 fucking times in this movie, straight at the end and everything like that. And I just don't get why they did this. To summarise then, I think this is one of the greatest and one of the best horror movies ever made. And yeah, I believe this was very fresh for its time, and that when the movie first came out, it hadn't been done before. And this paved the way, this particular Child's Play movie paved the way for the rest of the Chucky franchise, in which I love and can easily rewatch all of them. I struggle with Seed, obviously, and Bride, because they're too comedic, like we mentioned previously. But for the rest of them, this elevated the Chucky franchise to a whole new level and helped progress the second one and the third, and so on and so forth. And that the Chucky franchise is bigger and bigger each year that they release a movie or a TV show. And hence why everyone's loving the new Chucky TV series, thanks to this movie that came before it, in which sets the path for more to come, hopefully. So I believe this movie for me is an 8.6, a classic film. And let me know in the comments what you thought of this review. Let me know in the comments what you want to see on this channel. And also hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Before you go, click this one to see more reviews like this one. Honestly, a full playlist here for you to go and check out. Click this one. However, if you just want to watch just one more video, just click this one. This is our newest video right here. Or if you just sort of I'm not bothered about another video, well, I've got a treat for you. Just hit that subscribe button, so then you're alerted to the newest one. So then if you're not too bothered now, you can come back later. And also press that notification bell as well. It'll really help us out. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know, like I said, in the comments down below what films you want to see in here, and we can do it for you. Thanks.